Mill has remained an unknown, out-of-the-way place whose true significance the world will never appreciate. In 1987, a brother from Virginia was hiking in the woods here at Green's Mill when he felt led to veer from the trail he had been following and to take instead a more difficult route along the side of a ridge. He had walked for some distance when he stopped to catch his breath and looked down. There at his feet was an opening into the side of the mountain. After exploring the interior of the small cave, the brother believed that this was indeed the cave of the Prophet, but he felt very hesitant to share his newfound secret. He didn't know if its location should ever become common knowledge, so he chose to remain silent until the Lord showed him what to do. And he kept his secret for nearly 3 years, until in January of 1990, when he felt led to write to Rebecca and describe to her what he had found. The area around the cave is covered with very dense growth, and standing here at the entrance, it is easy to understand how the location of this cave remained completely hidden for so many years. Brother Branham once made the statement that he often would pull a large bush into the opening behind him, totally obscuring the entrance from even the closest scrutiny. It is not difficult to visualize just how that could be done. It is also easy to see that it is a place that was made for the Prophet, a small man who was by nature rugged, brave, determined, and fully dedicated. Brother Branham did not come to his cave seeking a comfortable place where he could pray, for there is nothing comfortable or elegant to be found here. Instead, it is a rocky shelter for a true man of the wilderness. Isolated from the rest of the world, here he communicated with the Almighty. I'm right inside the cave here, about 2 feet. As you can appreciate the view of the entrance here, it's very narrow, very sharp rocks, no greater width than about 15 inches, the widest part. And the ground slopes off very quickly after entering. Right at the very entrance, it's only about 2.5 feet high, and then it slopes off fast so that it goes down to about 6 foot height right away. It's very hard to gain footing right here on this slick mud. It's very wet and damp inside here. Even here at the entrance, you can see that it is cold enough to see your breath. We're going farther back in to where we can actually stand up at this point here. Okay, right here it's 6 foot high. It's about the maximum height. We are far enough inside at this point that we can stand. In front of us, the very narrow passageway, about 25 feet in length, leads to a small chamber at the rear of the cave. The ceiling is composed of a multitude of limestone rocks, tightly wedged into place, but having the appearance of being ready to fall. The slightly damp walls are about 20 inches apart right here. This is probably the widest part of the passageway. At this point, I cannot turn the camera but only a few inches to the right or left. The shots are bumpy, but that will help to emphasize what extremely tight quarters we are in. It's hard to believe the difference in the temperature. Outside, it is 80 degrees. In here, it is more like 40 degrees. It would appear to be an ideal hideaway for wildlife, but we found no signs that animals had ever occupied the cave. The only items found in the cave were on the shelf here to the left. a 1964 penny, and traces of candle wax. In the 3 years that have passed since the cave was first found, several large rocks have fallen from the ceiling. One such rock is blocking the passageway here in front of us. On the other side of this rock, the floor drops completely, and there are only 2 or 3 places where a person can stand. Now further into the passageway, we look into the rear chamber. The walls are only about 10 inches apart, and there's only one more rock to stand on. From here, you can see the table and the pyramid rock which hangs down over it. And now I will try to reach the camera into the chamber for a better view. Of the nature-formed pieces of furniture that Brother Branham refers to, only the table is still intact. It is formed from a massive slab of limestone, and its corners are perfectly square. It measures 3 feet by 4 feet across the top and about 3 feet high. Directly over the center of the table hangs the sharp-edged, pyramid-shaped stone that Sister Branham described to Rebecca. It's easy to understand why this sight stayed so vividly in her memory. The point of the stone is poised just inches above the surface of the table, as though its downward plunge was halted just a fraction of a second before it would have been destroyed. It is breathtaking. It is our belief that the cave is slowly but surely collapsing inward. As you can see here, the floor beneath the table has fallen away. The area to our right is just a jumble of huge blocks of limestone. In any case, it is no longer safe for us to try and explore further, and maybe it would not even be appropriate for us to do so. I've turned around now to face back towards the exit. Straight ahead you can see just a crack of light from outside. With the light on, you can see again how close the walls are and the curve the passageway makes as it angles back into the mountain, towards the table and the pyramid stone, which are now behind us. From here there's also a better view of the large rock that has fallen within the past 3 years, and which blocks our way. You can also see how the floor changes at this point, becoming a jumble of sharp stones on back to the chamber. Before we move around this curve in the passageway, bringing the exit into full view, I would like to say that I feel very privileged to have had an opportunity to visit this special place. I stand here, and in my mind I can see Brother Branham pressing his way between these walls, maybe after being back in the chamber praying for many days. I can imagine just how he would climb up through the opening and stand on the big rock that is close by. This is something I will always treasure. Once again, we are back at the widest part of the passageway. Worth noting are the flat stones in the ceiling here. At no other place in the cave did we find a stone even similar to the pyramid-shaped one that hangs over the table. You can see how mud and leaves have washed into the entrance, and the slippery incline offers no firm footing as we try to make our way back up to the very small rocky opening.
Oh. Good Lord.
Because of the potential danger to the public that is presented by the unsafe trail and the crumbling interior of the cave, the entrance is now being covered over, and directions to its exact location will not be given. We believe that in our efforts to document the life and ministry of Brother William Branham, the Lord permitted us this glimpse of the hidden private cavern, and after prayerful consideration, we feel that the location of the cave should remain a secret. After the last video footage was taken, we carefully covered the entrance, not planning to enter it again.